As we continue this remarkable experience, it is time to welcome our next speaker for the keynote session, Mrs. Rachel Iyem Efwai. Mrs. Rachel is a strategic and forward-thinking human resource professional with over 17 years of progressive experience across diverse industries. She is recognized for her ability to align people strategies with business objectives, providing experts, guidance, and her strategic partnership that drives organizational performance and profitability. Her core strength lies in talent management, leadership development, HR strategy, formulation and execution, as well as the design and implementation of HR policies, systems, and ethical practices within highly competitive environments. Ms. Rachel holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Finance and Master's degree in Industrial and Labor Relations. Please give her a round of applause. It's not easy. Both from the University of Lagos. She is an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, ACIPM, and the Family System Engineering, FSE. In addition, she holds a professional diploma in human resource management and is a full member of the Nigerian Institute of Training and Development. She began her professional journey in 2008 at Skill Enhancement Center Limited, an HR consulting firm where she advanced to the role of HR consultant and served as an outsourced HR executive to various clients. In 2013, she joined Superflux International as an HR executive and subsequently moved to United Bank for Africa, PLC, where she served as a human resource business partner, overseeing 78 branches across Lagos and the Southwest region. During her time at UBA, she also held the role of accountant officer between 2016 and 2017. Ms. Rachel continued her career growth with Standard Street Manpower Limited as an HR administrator in 2017, followed by her role as HR manager at GUO Transport Company and Logistics Limited in 2018. In 2019, she joined Gatimo Limited as HR manager, and in 2023, she became a human resource business partner at Acheon Microfinance Bank, where she managed HR operations across the South, Southeast, and parts of Lagos region. Her extensive industry experience spans consulting, manufacturing, environmental services, transport and logistics, retail and banking, finance services, equipping her with a well-rounded perspective on workforce management and organizational development. Ms. Rachel currently serves as the head of human resource and corporate affairs at Jubilee Life Mortgage Bank PLC, where she leads strategic initiatives focused on building a high-performing workforce and strengthening corporate reputation. Please, can we give her a round of applause as she comes?
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to say a very big thank you to the organizers of the conference. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. And once again, I also, standing on the existing protocol, I also want to use the opportunity to thank the VC and the librarian that is here, Dr. Yusuf, and other speakers that have spoken in this event. I was told I'm given 10 minutes. And how I'm going to work with 10 minutes, I don't know, but we'll get there. Okay, so can I have my slide up? So we'll make it very, very snappy. Oh, wow, this is very fast. Okay, so Thank you. Okay. Okay, so looking at work, if you look at what happened with work in the times of our parents, work was a place people go to. They travel a distance to get to where their place of work was. And our parents those days, they were involved in a 9 to 5, just as some of us are right now. And for our parents, a lot of them would stay 35 years, they'll get to 65 years. It was lifelong for them, okay? So we're trying to look at the trajectory of work, how work has evolved, and the skills that have gone into, the jobs that have gone into extinction, and the jobs that are current, and the skills needed for the present, okay? So, like I said, people traveled, people had to have a particular office where they work. But currently, I'm sure you are all aware, after COVID-19 happened, even before COVID-19, a lot of, some organizations have started moving, being innovative, but by the time COVID-19 happened, a lot of changes to work occurred, okay? So, we talk about what has changed. Everywhere you go, when you open your internet, you open your, your YouTube, you'll find one AI advert telling you, oh, you need to learn AI as quickly as possible. A lot of people are being scared, and a lot of people are scared thinking that, like Dr. Yusuf said, that AI is going to take over their jobs. No, that is not what's going to happen, okay? AI is only going to replace repetitive tasks, and it's a collaboration between AI and humans. The AI is there to help you do your task, help you leverage on your work, help you, say you have some write-ups to do, AI can help you do those write-ups. Say you have some you have some analysis to make, AI can help you do all of that if you know the right AI to use. So it's a collaboration, okay? There's also the rise of remote work, remote and global work. You can find people here in Nigeria, sitting here in Otta, and they are working in organizations in the US, in Canada, and various places. They have colleagues all over the world. They're working with different people, global work, okay? Then skills are becoming more important. Please just ignore the other part that says than degrees. No, degrees are the foundation of where we are today. You need a degree, like Dr. Yusuf said, to make things better. It is a foundation that gives you a springboard to leverage on. I'm happy. I've been given 20 minutes. Sorry. Okay. Technology is the biggest impact on the future of work, and that's true. If you look at the report that was given about the future of jobs in 2025, it talks about the disruptive workforce shaping the labor market and all other micro job creations, in the sense that they're saying, okay, AI is going to replace a lot of things. AI is going to make jobs better. There'll be a lot of jobs that will go into extinction, and new jobs will come on. And for you to be relevant, you need to be at the cutting edge. Dr. Yusuf said something which I'm going to be leveraged on within the time I'm here. Lifelong learning. Lifelong learning. So if you're going to be moving with the times, you're going to be moving with the trends. As things are happening, we don't know what is going to be in the 2030s, in about 4 years to come. All we know is that technology is rapidly changing. It means that you have to be fluid. It means that you have to be agile. As in, you have to be reading, you have to be learning as things are coming up, as it relates to the job you're going to get. You have to be learning the way you can use AI, leverage on AI to better perform at your job, okay? And these are some of the skills that are needed: analytical and systems thinking. These are skills that you're going to be needing at that time. So this same report also talked about the different types of jobs that will be available. You have that big data specialist, you have the data analytics, you have the All of those jobs written there, sorry, I can barely see that. So what are the core skills in demand? This is where we are going to. This is where what we really need to talk about. What are the core skills you need? You're here already, you've gotten the foundation, you've gotten the pathway. You've studied mechanical engineering, you've studied maybe urban and regional planning, you've studied human resources, you've studied accountancy. What skills do you need to thrive in the workplace when you graduate from here? The skills you need are core skills. And those core skills are divided into your hard skill and your soft skill. Your hard skill has to do with the things you've learned in school. For an accountant, you've learned the principles of accounting, basic debit and credit principles. For someone who is in IT, you've learned how to do networking, you've learned how to do operating systems, you learned about operating systems. For an HR person, you've learned how to recruit, the steps on recruitment, you've learned it. And so many other things you learn here as you are a student. Those are your core skills that you will be taking to the workplace if you get a job in that field of study, in your field of study. If you get a job in your field of study, the basics, the foundation is already laid. Except when you don't get a job in your field of study, then you have to now start learning those basic skills, those basic art skills. Okay? So let us just assume that you get a job in your field of study. So you already have the core skills. So the other part is the soft skills. Just like Dr. Yusuf said, the different projects you've worked on, the different assignments you've been asked to do, the different assignments you've worked with people, you're learning a lot of things. You're learning teamwork, you're learning collaboration, you're learning problem-solving skills. In order for you to meet up with those assignments, you've learned all of these things. At the end of the day, it's a combination of both your hardcore and your soft skills. Okay, remember I mentioned that there are skills you would have learned when you study a particular course. You have the accountant, the human resource, information technology, that's IT, those who study computer science, and you have digital marketer. You have to learn how to use SEO, SEM, social media optimization, and the rest. Okay, then you also need the general skills, the general core skills, which are the digital technology proficiency. You need to know how to use Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. How do you gain some of these skills? After school, or even as you are in school right now, you can decide to enroll in a computer school where you're learning how to use these basic skills. For some of us that graduated years ago, what did we do while waiting for NYSC? We decided to enroll in a computer school just to learn as quickly as possible so that we are job ready for the future. Okay? Then the various AI tools. At the end of the day, when you get a job, you need to know how to use the AI tool that is relevant to the job you are performing. Okay? You need to know how to analyze data. Some people will say, oh, I've not graduated. Or I just graduated. I don't need all of this. You do need it. You do need data analysis. You do need, because in the workplace, you'll be working with a lot of data. At the end of the day, you need to learn how to analyze data, how to interpret data, how to use data to predict things for your organization. No organization wants an employee that does not come with some form of value at the end of the day. Everybody wants people to work with them that bring something to the table, something to the team. For you to set yourself apart in the workplace, you need to, own your skills. What you've learned in school, you bring it to the fore in your workplace. Then for the soft skills, what are soft skills? These are skills, personal traits. You learn it. In school here, like I said earlier, you've done assignments, you've done projects, you've done different things together. So in those places, you've learned some of these things: critical thinking, problem solving, ability to analyze situations. You've done all of this. Communication skills. You've been able to have rapport with your colleagues, with your lecturers, with people at large. Even our churches, in our mosque, some of us take up leadership positions. We're able to talk to people. We're able to express ourselves. All you need to do is even improve more on those skills that you already have, those traits you already have. Teamwork and collaboration. Employers want people who can work in teams, not someone who wants to work in silos, who wants to be, I am a star, alone. Standing alone does not, at the end of the day, bring the profitability of any organization, because you are not alone. Even if you are one-man gang in any department you find yourself in your place of work, you will interact with other departments. Where your job stops is where another person's job starts. So at the end of the day, you need to be able to work in a team. You need to be able to collaborate. You need to be able to cooperate with people. Okay? Adaptability and willingness to learn. Nobody wants a staff that comes into the organization and you're trying to teach them how to do the job, and they are being rigid, they're not flexible, they're not ready to learn, they're not adaptable. When you give them feedback, they do not take the feedback. When you tell them this is how it should be done, they're not interested. They're just, and there's a difference between, okay, you said this is how we do it, but I think there's a better way to do it, and you decide to suggest, sir, can we do it this way? Because, sometimes when young people come into to an organization, because of their thinking, the way they reason, they're fast. So they bring in suggestions like, this thing you guys are doing, it's going to take a longer time. If we do it this way, I think it will be better. For people like that, no boss, no supervisor would want to play with such a person. So as undergraduates, you need to improve on these skills, your ability to learn, your ability to adapt, okay? Time management and organization. People want employees who, at the end of the day, when you give them a task to do, they do it within timeline. If you say you've not been taught in the university, don't forget your lecturer gave you some assignments and told you, you have to submit this within the next 5 days. And you were able to work on that assignment and submit within the next 5 days. You were able to meet the deadline. It means that you already learned the time management in school. So what does that mean? You bring it to play. When you get a job, when you are in an interview, you can tell them, they give us a project, they give us an assignment, and I was able to work within the timelines, and I was able to produce good results on that assignment. So that's your time management. Then organization. When you're doing things in an organization, you're doing things in a company where you work, people want a staff who is organized, who can, the work being done, you can actually do your work in a very organized way, in a way that it flows. It's not scattered. Your work is not all over the place. Okay? Then we look at professionalism. Professionalism and work ethics. Okay? People demonstrating the can-do attitude, taking responsibility for their work, integrity, bringing integrity into play. People who will not, cut corners. We will not cut corners with their work. We will do their work with all manner of diligence and do it very well. They will not cut corners. They will not, at the end of the day, the policies of that organization, you don't go against it. Okay? Then, initiative and ambition. People want employees who can take initiative, who can think outside the box. People who can, when there are things to do, they're already thinking, what's next? How can I get this done? For example, I'll give an example. Currently in my organization, we are doing our appraisals, our quarterly appraisals. And for my team, for the organization as a whole, there's a score for innovation. A score for innovation. What that means is that in that quarter, you're going to be rated on which idea you brought for that quarter. So it's not even just about fresh graduates coming into an organization.
It's even the people who are already there. The organization wants to feel the impact of the people who are working with them. So these are the skills you need. An organization needs people who can project to them that they can lead. Yes, they're not leaders yet, but because in your academics currently, you've held on some positions. In your church, in your mosque, you've held on some positions. Some groups that we belong to, maybe Rotaract and JCI and all the rest, you've held on to leadership positions. You can bring it into play when you get a job, as you go out there and as you ace your interviews for jobs. So I'll skip this. Okay. Then if we look at, still talking about the trajectory of work, we said initially, the past, we had 9 to 5 fixed locations and highly physical work. But right now, the work is kind of, we have hybrid work, we have remote work, though we have on-site work too. Then we have knowledge-based, highly internet dependency on our jobs. We work with computers, we work with the internet. So as an undergraduate, you need to learn how to use the skills that is needed for the job of the future. So you need to ensure that you're learning constantly. In all of these things, learning and learning, relearning, unlearning, it's very important, okay? The future, AI. AI is here. AI is here to help us do our work better. AI is here to improve our work, okay? Then we have the gig economy. Some organizations already allow their staff to have side hustles as far as you declare it, but some organizations don't do that. But for those ones that do it, you declare it, you see people having 3 to 4 jobs, remote jobs. You have a contract with this organization, you have a contract with this organization. So a lot of things have changed, are going to be changing. They've changed and they will still change. So you need to be ready, okay? Let's leave all of this. Okay, some of the things that have gone into extinction are typewriters, filing cabinets. Typewriters have been replaced with laptops. Filing cabinets have been replaced with cloud storage. In organizations currently, we hear them talking about, we're going to buy cloud storage. We need to buy storage in the cloud. Those are the things people are talking about now. So you need, if you are in that field of IT, you need to learn how you'll be able to use cloud storage. What is cloud storage talking about? If you go for an interview, you should be able to talk about that if you're going into IT. Then for physical calendars, we don't have things like that anymore. I can't remember when last I saw one calendar being hung inside an office or even in our houses. Most time, and our meetings are being done using Zoom, Teams, Slack, and the rest. So all of these tools are very important. Then we have things, the future, what the future holds for us. We have something called Neuralink, voice to thought. You can imagine what AI is doing right now. Part of what is being developed is using the thoughts of human. Just thinking of it, AI is already bringing out what you want to do. You just thought of it, you're not typing it. AI itself is bringing it out. Then you have the voice to thought, okay? When you speak, just, we already have some of those things. We have our, on Zoom, Teams, they're already transcribing for us. When you have meetings, the meetings are being transcribed. So those are some of the innovations that are coming up in the future. Then we have the VR and AR. Some of us, we've gone to some of these gaming sites where we are in virtual reality. You're already, in a world of your own. So these are some of the changes that are coming up in the future. Yes, we don't know all of the changes, but one thing I would say again, you need to keep learning, lifelong learning. You don't stop learning because nobody knows exactly what's it called? The projections of what AI is going to do. All we know is that technology is rapidly changing. And we need to move with the trends, okay? Let's leave all of this. So we are fast with this. So let me go to, I think, what is most important for us. Your future-proof action plan. Your future-proof action plan. What do you need to do? Your graduates will be leaving here very soon. Like I said earlier, if you need to go to a computer school to go learn how to use a computer, please go do that. If you need to have some Excel skills, please go do that. Don't say, oh, I'm still in school, I may not necessarily need it. You need it. You will need it. Even in your own, if you decide to start your own business, you need all of these skills. The panel we had earlier, we heard some people talking about the things they've done. They also need to manage their businesses. They also need to have, processes and procedures to manage their businesses. And if you ask some of them, they'll tell you that some of these skills, they had to learn it. So as you're leaving this, when you graduate, you need to learn a lot of things. You shouldn't, I don't want you to feel frustrated. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, like this is too much. Well, where do I start from? Start from somewhere so that you are not left behind. Okay? You need to build a portfolio. For creatives, you can use GitHub, Behance to, put up your work that you've done. So when you go for interviews, you can present it. So if you're a creative, you need to learn how to use those platforms. Learning, like I've been talking about learning, even Dr. Yusuf talked about learning. You need to learn, reskill, relearn, unlearn. You just have to. So there are different platforms you can engage on. You have LinkedIn Learning, Google, Coursera, Udemy, Coursera, and you have a whole lot of them. And some of these courses, like Udemy, you can get courses for as cheap as 3,000, 4,000 naira. You can get, when they do promos, you can get very cheap courses. Even myself, I do a lot of learning from those platforms, okay? Networking, you can go on LinkedIn. Sometimes I see on my network, what's it called? You see people, students trying to connect with me. Sometimes I'm sure it's just to learn, just to see what's happening in this person's what's it called? Career path. Sometimes myself, I do go to other people's career LinkedIn page just to look at what has happened, what certifications are people getting, what things are happening in people's lives, how can I improve on myself. It's still the same thing that you have to do, okay? Then prepare for interviews. What do you need to do to prepare for interviews? You can go online. There are a lot of materials online for you to prepare yourself when you leave this place and you're going into the market, in labor market. There are a lot of tools online, how to ace interviews, behavioral questions, because the employer knows that you do not have you do not have enough practical experience. They already know that. What do they want to hear? They want to hear the things you did in school. Okay? They want to hear you talk about some of the things you did in school, some of the leadership positions you've held. So you can go online to look at how to ace your interviews. For me, sometimes it's better to use the STAR model when you are interviewing. You talk about the situation, you talk about the task, you talk about the action, and the result at the end of the day. When you go online, you can read all of these things to know how to ace interviews, okay? Then, your experience, get experience. If you need to go on internships, 3 months, 2 months before NYSC or after NYSC, or while you are on holidays, all of these things matter. You will gain skills. You'll be able to build some soft skills and some technical skills at the end of the day. Okay? Obtain certification. Some of us, while in school, you can decide to do your ICANN, you can decide to do your ACCA, whichever works for you, depending on what you want, your CISA, Certified Information System Auditor. You can decide to do the Google Analytics, AWS, Amazon Web Services, different certifications. They are all, they are there. So just find out which is relevant for you. Okay? In conclusion, please know that AI is not coming to take over your job. What you just need to do is to ensure that you are abreast with the different tools that has to do with the career paths you have chosen. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Rachel. What a wonderful keynote session we just had. Right now, like I said earlier before, if you did not get a lot of things while you're seated, you can always go back to listen. Trust me, everything she said is something that is impactful. And thank you so much, Ma, for speaking to us. It was really, really amazing.